Hey friends, happy holidays! Today we're going over my 6 favorite holiday appetizers that I love to make. I love appetizers, I love hosting parties where I can make appetizers, and I have about 6 appetizers that I actually make a lot or make some sort of version of. So I'm really excited to show you how to make these, and you can do all of these like the day before, which makes it really convenient so you don't have to deal with a messy kitchen when you have people over. So I'm going to show you all the ingredients. We're starting with Rumaki, which is bacon wrapped chestnuts. They're so good. They go very fast and they're pretty easy to make. Next up, we have Caprese Bites. So if you like caprese salad, which is just tomato, mozzarella, and basil, these are really easy to make ahead of time if you leave the tomatoes whole, or you can cut them in half. Also, Spinach Dip. Basically, it's just dumping everything in a bowl, refrigerating it for a couple of hours, and you have a really tasty cold dip that you could serve with crackers or bread. Up next, we have stuffed mushrooms. It's one of those things that it's actually really easy to make, but I don't really make them that often because you do have to serve them when they're hot right out of the oven. But these are really good and vegetarian. Next up, I have baked asparagus. This is the thing that I make the most. All my friends request it. It's delicious. It's wrapped in phyllo dough. It is a bit tricky to make, so this video will help you out. And then meatballs. Really super easy. Bag frozen meatballs, 2 different sauces, dump it in a crock pot, and set it for low 6 hours, and then you've got some really tasty meatballs. So let's get started. First, you want to marinate the chestnuts for the Rumaki, which again is the bacon wrapped chestnuts. So you want to marinate those for about an hour. And then you want to grab some fresh basil leaves. Open up the mozzarella. We're going to start with the Caprese Bites. So for this time, I cut the tomatoes in half just because of the toothpicks I had were your standard toothpicks. If you have longer, more decorative toothpicks, you can have those tomatoes whole. Then you want to julienne the basil leaf. So if you have smaller basil leaves, you just want to stack as the biggest ones you have, roll them up, and then slice them so they have these nice little strips. If the strips are not long enough, I'll show you how I put these together. If the strips are not long enough, you can just sort of put the basil between the tomatoes. That's kind of sandwiching the mozzarella. But these were really super long because my basil leaves are enormous. And you just see exactly that. You just have the tomato, the mozzarella, another tomato, and then secure the basil strip on the top and the bottom. Super easy. If you make those the day before, though, make sure that you have them on a paper towel because they do leak. Next, we have the spinach dip, which is just dumping the mayo, the sour cream together. Add the packet of seasoning mix. Mix. I really like adding chopped chestnuts. I really like that extra crunch. Up to you if you want to include them or not. And then obviously green onions are really good in this. And then this is the most important part of the spinach dip, the actual spinach. So you want to defrost chopped cooked spinach and then squeeze out using a small handful, squeeze all that liquid out before adding it to the bowl. Then you just want to mix that up again. There we go. And then you want to add plastic wrap over top and put it in the fridge for a few hours to overnight till those flavors meld up nicely. Then moving on to the stuffed mushrooms, you just want to cut those stems out. Do it gently. Clean your mushrooms if you haven't. Do not run them underwater. You want to use a damp cloth to clean them off because mushrooms will soak up liquid. Very important. You want to take those stems after removing them and you want to chop them up as well. There you go. And then you want to add that to a bowl. I like to chop it really, really fine. You can also put it in a food processor and blend everything, but I like everything kind of have a chunkier consistency. Then you want to add the sour cream. You want to chop up some green onions, and you want to chop up some fresh parsley. This is very parsley forward. There you go. as fine as you can is a good idea, and then mince that garlic really fine. If you have a garlic press, it's even better. I don't know, there's just something about chopping up garlic that I really like. And then you want to add breadcrumbs to this. If you're going to make these gluten-free, get some gluten-free breadcrumbs. And then I like to grate the Parmesan. It melts better than having actual, like, either the shaker cheese or the Parmesan that's already shredded. All right, then you want to mix all that up. And you want to season with salt and pepper as well, just to give it that added flavor. And then you just want to start stuffing those mushrooms. You're going to probably still have leftover filling, so try to stuff those mushrooms as much as you can without them falling over. You can go pretty high with them. And then you just want to top it with more of that breadcrumb. And I made these a day ahead, and I baked them day of, which was great. Back to the Rumaki. So you want to cut these chestnuts in half and toss them in brown sugar. Pretty easy. This flavor is amazing. And then you want to cut the bacon into thirds and roll the chestnut up in the bacon and secure with a toothpick. And you just want to do that with the remaining chestnut pieces. I have a lot of bacon left over, so you technically could do two. I think in the recipe I have 2 cans of chestnuts. I'm only using 1 here because I didn't have that many people at my party. There you go. And now the asparagus. Like I said, this is the most tricky out of the rest of them. So you want to snap off the woody ends of the asparagus. Make them all the same kind of size. And then you want to defrost or have a defrosted phyllo dough. So this dough is very thin sheets. So you have to be really careful. It does like to stick, which is why I have a damp cloth that I put over it once I kind of wrapped it back up so it doesn't dry out. Then you want to melt your butter and then cut the phyllo sheets into thirds. Sorry, my camera got kind of cut off there. Then you want to brush it with the melted butter. And you want to sprinkle that Parmesan cheese that I have in a bowl. I think for these I did use shaker cheese. You can grate your own Parmesan. It would have a better flavor. But we need that really fine grate to them. And you just want to take an asparagus, and for each strip, just roll that asparagus spear up in the dough. Make sure there's plenty of butter at the end so it does secure, and then you want to put it seam side down on a baking sheet. And this is definitely one of those recipes that you want to do the day ahead or the morning of, just so you have plenty of time to do this. This can be stressful because you want to make sure that you're working at a pace that allows you to keep the dough from drying out, because it does dry out pretty quickly. So make sure that you have that wet towel and keep wrapping it in that plastic. It's very important. Yeah, and you just keep doing it with the remaining asparagus. The phyllo dough is wonderful when you bake it. The butter and the Parmesan, it just really melts in your mouth. This is definitely one of my most requested appetizers that I make, that all my friends like. And it travels really well too. You just need to, make up a sheet pan ahead of time, and then make sure that you have your oven ready when you get to your friend's house, or bake it the day of for your own party. Be really, really careful with this phyllo dough. As you go, it does dry out more and more, and sometimes it will tear, and even if it tears, it's still fine. As long as you have the butter, it will, and you're rolling it all up, it'll still hold up pretty well. And then you have a good amount of phyllo dough left over, which you can, make other things with. I've made sort of like an apple strudel kind of thing with it before, or a quiche. But just make sure, phyllo dough usually comes in a 2-pack, so when you defrost it, don't defrost the whole box. Take one of the packs out. Otherwise, you'll have way too much phyllo dough. All right, just rolling up these last 2 spears here. And these aren't bad, too. If you have left over, I'll have them the next day cold. They're still pretty good. There you go. And I didn't show the meatballs, but it's super easy. You just dump them in a crock pot, low for 6 hours, add the 2 jars of the chili sauce and the grape jelly, and they have a wonderful tangy, sweet flavor to them. And then, yeah, you just want to bake everything or cook everything like the day of or display. I have all of those in the recipes below in the notes. So that is my top 6 appetizer 6-pack recipe video. I hope you love it as much as I do and as much as my friends and family do. And if you like this video, please, please, please like and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. Happy holidays!